Hello everyone, my name is Mo Nazrul, and today I wanted to let the game footage run here and talk about something that has been on my mind for a while now, and it's in regards to bullying. Most of these thought process came out after a recent case where a Penang kid was tortured and gruesomely sodomized by bullies, and around the same time there was a similar case involving cadets who took ragging a little too far, both cases ending up with severe consequences resulting in even the death of the victims. This is as well tied up with an earlier conversation I had with someone where I shared about my experiences growing up both in the States and in Malaysia, where I was bullied in various points of my teenage years. One of the earliest experiences was when I was in elementary. The bullying had gone on for a while, but it only had stopped when one fine day my mother picked me up earlier than expected and caught the bullies in the act of beating me up. Now, in my mind, my mom is the shining example of what you should do in certain situations like that. I'm not saying it's similar to all the other situations, but in my specific situation and in regards to the bullies who were bullying me and beating me up, I felt that it was pretty apt in regards to what she did. Because aside from notifying the principal and faculty about the incident to which the boys were suspended after, the bullies, my mom knew that sometimes the bullying can happen outside of the protective eyes of adults. So she had signed my brother and I for karate classes. This was so we knew how to defend ourselves. And the dojo that we were sent to was very old school. It taught us how to fight as well as how to hold back. It gave us discipline in using some of the things that we learned in regards to the fighting, combative nature of karate, and not only did this help my self-confidence, it also helped me establish what my limits are, that if somebody passed by that limit, I'll be like, no, back off, and I knew when needed that I can actually go into a full confrontational fight and be able to hold my own because I'm trained for it. I'm not saying that this is the solution for every bullying, case, because bullying is a very complex, gray situation with many layers and many complex issues, and each and every single bullying case is not the same. But in my opinion, in terms of my life experience, it did help a lot, because it helped me establish my own character as well as, where I want to draw the line and help me not be the victim. And I remembered, this was also in correlation to, a police officer who came to our school to give a lecture about bullying or anti-bullying and rape and drugs. And I remember that, part of his lecture, he mentioned that, the act of bullying or rape is more about power than the act itself. A person at some point was put into a powerless situation and decided that it was all right to transfer that victimization to another person, and sort of in a way, that's what it's all about, and that's what makes it dangerous. It's a dangerous mindset to be in, and especially if you're in a situation where it is considered okay, for example, in the case of ragging or in the case of certain college students who take a prank too far. I mean, those things are not okay when somebody gets hurt. That has always been the line that I've drawn, between what is good and what is bad. Is it hurting somebody? Yes, it's bad. Is it hurting somebody? No, then it's all right, for the most part. Of course, then that also has some gray areas between what is morally right and then what is legally right, But, in regards to the act of bullying, I mean, one of the things that I definitely noticed, and also part of this conversation, the topic did come up. Why didn't I tell any of the adults? Why didn't I notify the teachers? And I remember back when I was a teenager, I remember that there was this attitude amongst the students of snitches deserve stitches, As prisons as it sounded, that was the general attitude. And this came about because there was a them and us situation, students versus teachers, teenagers versus adults, youth versus the elder, more mature generation, and a lot of this sometimes wasn't really unfounded, it came from hearing stories of disciplinary teachers who gone a little too far, and this was around us, at that point of time. I remember especially being in a Malaysian public school system where disciplining was very common. You would walk down the hall and sometimes you would see children get caned, and there was this attitude of if you did wrong, you deserve the pain that was brought upon you. This is my own personal opinions. I mean, you can disagree with me, and I do realize that I came from a very different background. But me going through the public school system, I encountered this, and that was the thought process. It always boggled me. It was a little bit more extreme because for me, I kind of figured that that's not the right message you want to send to people. I mean, Dr. Seuss said it best. A person's a person's no matter how small. So basically a child, a teenager is basically a person itself, where it's wrong for you to go out and punch somebody in the face because that will be assault. And if you verbally abuse them, if you verbally abuse them, that'd be assault. If you hit them, that'd be battery. That's assault and battery. That is wrong. That is illegal. But to somehow do it to a child, and I remember the psyche of being a child in that situation, of getting hit, getting spanked and stuff like that, and not understanding what I did wrong. And what happens is, like, in the beginning, you have this degradation of your self-esteem. You feel that you are the lowest of the low, that you somehow get introduced into the world, and you are aware suddenly for the first time that there is a hierarchy. And that hierarchy, whoever's above is able to smack the person in the bottom, which is not right, So, and also that had attributed to a lot of the aspects of my personality that I've been for many years trying to fix as well. That contributed to also the fact of feeling powerless. So what happened was, at a very young age, I had developed this idea that the more I got hit, the stronger I would become. It's sort of mentally, I developed this little shield around my mind and thoughts and emotion, where I learned to accept the pain. The pain made me stronger. And I guess you can say, the dangerous part as well was it made me feel more like a masculine man, especially when you're a teenager, still trying to discover who you are, trying to identify yourself with the world. And this is a very dangerous thing, because sometimes if a person is given too much abuse or is surrounded with too much acceptance of abuse, that person would think it's okay to smack somebody in the head with a helmet, or do something, So that is unfortunate, because a person, a child, is still a person, and if you treat them like a person at the same time, with, of course, setting limits within certain bounds, but not in a physical manner, in my honest opinion, I think that is the best way to go. It's like me and you, right now, we could be having a negotiation and stuff like that, but it's not right for me to smack you just because you don't agree with me. I would try my best to explain to you, and of course, being an adult, and for me, myself, being a father, how I try to visualize how I would raise my child is that, I will try to understand his perspective, my son's perspective, as much as I can, and never resort to physical violence, because I remember me getting hit and getting smacked, it made me angrier and angrier, and it also made me feel that, it's okay to hit other people. And I saw that in other kids as well who were bullying me. A lot of them came from broken homes, broken families, and broken people will do anything to mend themselves together, and that's the dangerous part. Some of them resort to violence, some of them resort to drugs, some of them resort to a criminal behavior, and that's the source of it all, where now that these things happen, this thought process, and I'm happy that the conversation is happening, where people are questioning what are we to do in this situation where bullying has resulted in the death of those that we love, those that are the children of society, and it's good that we're asking that, because now we can figure out a solution, because I myself, I don't know the solution. I think it's a topic that I myself would like to know the answer to. How do we tackle this problem? Because at the same time, from my experience, the only way I knew it was because my mom sent me to karate classes, and that helped give me the confidence to say no and push back, And there were times when I did get into physical altercation, and I admit, maybe it was wrong of me to get into those physical altercations, but in retrospect, it was justified because it helped draw the line. Now, I'm not saying that is right for every single, situation, but what I do want is for everybody to come together and say that no, it is not okay, whether you are 15, 20, 25, 40, 45, 50 years old and you're smacking your nephew or child or whatever it is. That is not okay. That in itself is a source of bullying, where how a child is treated around them reflects how they would treat other people as well, you know. And I've known so many people that now as adults, you know, some of them I've gotten into physical fights with, and we sit down over coffee, you know, and then we get into this very teary-eyed conversation about like the anger that we went through as teenagers, you know. And a lot of it had to do with, you know, our surroundings and, you know, being physically hit and physically abused, be it by our peers or be it by, you know, people who are older than us. Not to say that all adults or teachers were bad at that point in time. There were a lot of teachers, good teachers. I mean, essentially the world is the world. You have bad people and you have good people. Unfortunately, you know, in situations like this, the good people must now weed out the bad, you know, must set certain lines and say that this is the place where we can't cross, you know. And also at the same time, you know, so there was definitely this attitude of, like I said, that them and us attitude. Hence why if a person is bullied, sometimes that child might not want to report it because it's like breaking the cardinal rule, which is you are betraying the youth as a whole, you know. And also at the same time, sometimes, you know, if you think about it, you know, I mean, adults, teachers, principals, you know, they're humans too. I mean, their sphere of influence is only within the compounds of the school, you know. And also at the same time, me being an adult and living on this earth for so long, you know, I know that, you know, people are people, you know. These teachers are people as well, you know. They have problems at home. For all you know, maybe they themselves are going through some sort of abuse in their household. And I guess you can say, like, you know, realizing that and knowing that sometimes an adult, and mind you, this was a thought process that I knew even as a teenager. The reason why, because I knew that their sphere of influence is very limited. Sometimes bullying does not happen on the school compound. It happens when I'm about to arrive to school or when I'm leaving for school, when I'm just about to arrive at home. A lot of the bullying happened was at, you know, near a park near my home where the bullies happen to be waiting and I get jumped and stuff like that, you know. I mean, luckily at that point in time, I knew how to fight back. I knew how to draw the line, and eventually the bullies stopped, you know. The bullies stopped bullying me, you know, because if you know how to fight back. But also at the same time, there were also many situations where I did encounter a bully and that bully became a friend because of how I knew how to negotiate. I'd be like, you know, step back a minute, okay, let's talk, you know, you're trying to reach out, I feel this aggression. That is also another skill that you know, I think should be taught as a whole. All these soft skills to help the situation. It's not to solve, but to help, you know, especially for me, knowing what it was like being bullied and then just seeing that difference happen in my life. And also at the same time, you know, demythifying the act of bullying, the act of hurting another person. You know, we have to establish that as a society that is wrong, you know, that you can't do that to another person regardless of your age. And, you know, causing pain to another person, objectifying another person to a lower class is wrong in all levels, you know. And that is the source of it. That is the source of it, where, you know, if we live in a society where that is okay, bullying would still go on, you know. So I guess you can say, like I said, I'm glad that this conversation is happening, that people are asking those questions. Unfortunate that it took such tragic situations to make it happen. Unfortunate, you know. I mean, I wish it didn't, you know. And the topic of bullying, the topic of child abuse, it's something that I feel very passionate about, you know, because I feel that among the things that is wrong with the world, that's it. Bullying and, you know, child abuse, it's on that freaking list, you know. And like I said, I'm glad the conversation is happening. Hopefully that would lead everybody towards a step to show that it's not okay. Demythify the bully so that anyone could identify and say that, like, you know, oh my God, you know, I'm doing this to another person. I'm victimizing them. I'm putting them down for whatever criteria I think, just because it doesn't match the criteria I think that it should be, is wrong, you know. And identifying that and seeing it for all its shades and stuff like that would also help everybody, and situations like this not happen again, you know. So anyways, I'm sorry for ranting on and on, but that's how I feel about the topic of bullying and some of my experiences and where I'm coming from in terms of my opinion. In my opinion, bullying is wrong on all fronts. and it should be stopped. And let me know what you think in the comment section. And if you feel that you want to reach out, feel free to contact me either on Facebook or send me an email. My name is Mo Nazrul, and I'm checking out for now. Until next time.